Skeleton Crew Episode 4, Can't Say I Remember No At Achrann. The crew, filled with excitement, uses Kim's coordinates to reach At Achrann. And I mean, whoa, only halfway through the series and they're already back home? I don't know about that. It feels way too quick, almost too easy, and yeah, as expected. Something's gotta give, and it does. As the kids soon realize that this isn't actually At Attin, but another planet called At Achrann, a war-torn version of their homeworld and one of its sister planets. While the kids decide to explore the unknown landscape, Jod is left on the ship with SM-33 in a scene that's both funny, thanks to, well, SM-33's babysitting mode, and also, dare I say, questionable? Because why agree to send some kids into a dangerous post-apocalyptic world unsupervised? I mean, sure, the writers are clearly poking fun at the situation, but it felt more silly than amusing to me. Then again, it is a kids show, so it doesn't really have to make sense, I suppose, even though it would be better if it did. And it doesn't take long before the kids find themselves in trouble, surrounded by blasters as they're captured by a group of kid soldiers identifying themselves as the Troiks. And the Troiks are a clan locked in a civil war with another group called the Hatans, who have recently stolen their Eopes. After some tense questioning, the crew is taken back to the Troik headquarters, which, to their surprise, is the same exact building that they attend school back on At Achrann. At the Troik base, they meet General Strix, the leader of the clan, who reveals that there's a clan war waging on At Achrann. We're also left to assume that the Troiks are likely just one of the several or many different clans in this war, considering the kids were originally asked, "What flag do you wear?" rather than being immediately assumed to be Hatan spies. And Strix tells the kids that in their culture, children are treated as adults, and immediately puts them through some combat training. And while Wim, Fern, and KB throw themselves into the training, Neil struggles with that sort of violent lifestyle, instead choosing to befriend a young girl soldier named Hana, who is revealed to be General Strix's daughter. And I gotta say, it's hard not to find it a bit jarring that a Disney show features kids adapting so quickly and, well, having fun handling guns, especially considering how left-leaning Disney is, and how frowned upon such depictions are in the US. I mean, sure, while this doesn't raise any eyebrows in other parts of the world, it definitely would in most parts of the US. So this stood out to me as a kind of a moment. That said, I did like the Troik's ragtag aesthetic, complete with the mismatched gear and scavenged weapons. And together with their accents, it just gave me this whole French Resistance style vibe that I dug. Even the Hatans share this chaotic look, with both groups also notably using pieces of Imperial Army equipment, raising the question, did at one point the Empire try to invade At Achrann? And because of that, they left the planet in such a chaotic state? Then again, Strix does mention that his clan trades with off-worlders for goods and supplies. So I suppose it's also very possible that all of this Imperial Army equipment actually came off of the black market, if anything. Back at the Skeleton Crew's ship, Jod decides to steal some of Wim's Old Republic credits and venture out on his own. But as soon as he does leave, he's surrounded by the Hatans, who presumably capture him. And yeah, this makes sense. After all, a starship on a planet like this would definitely stand out. And it wouldn't take long for one of the warring clans to notice it. Meanwhile, back at the Troik base, Neil spends more time with Hana and learns that the Troiks live on the roof of the school, which is guarded by a massive cannon turret. And, well, you just know that this turret is gonna come into play later on when we do get back to At Achrann. After spending some time with Neil, Hana then begins to see the possibility of living a peaceful life through his perspective, something as being realistic. Although she also knows that his fear of battle is natural for someone not raised in a warrior culture like she was. Later at the Troic base, General Strix sends the kids on a dangerous mission to scout for a possible Hatan ambush. And yeah, Strix's logic is cruel, but practical, because if anyone does get hurt, then better the outsiders than his own loyal soldiers. And the kids reluctantly comply, venturing into the foggy battlefield. And sure enough, they stumble upon Jod, who appears to be a prisoner sent by Hatans to act as bait. But in a surprising twist, Jod reveals that he isn't actually a prisoner at all. Instead, he claims he struck a deal with the Hatans, using the old Republic credits he stole from Wim to buy back the Troic's stolen Eopes. And, well, yeah, this revelation feels rather far-fetched if I do say so myself. Because, why would these Mad Max-like savages bargain with a lone off-worlder instead of just killing him, then taking the credits and keeping the Eopes? I mean, whatever story that Jod is selling to these kids obviously wouldn't hold in a real-life scenario. But again, given that this is a kids show, I suppose the logic isn't meant to hold up under too much scrutiny. Jod then presents the Eopes as proof of his deal with the Hatans and uses them as leverage to buy the kids' freedom from Strix. And while some people may interpret this scene as Jod showing genuine care for the kids, I myself don't fully buy it, as to me it's just as likely he's acting out of self-interest. As, let's not forget, no matter what, he still needs the kids to find At Achrann, his ultimate goal. Hana then afterwards directs the skeleton crew to the Fallen Sanctum, which is basically the remnants of the Supervisor's Tower left behind on At Achrann. And before parting, she gives Neil a kiss on the cheek, well, on the trunk, and then performs a completely unnecessary parkour move as she runs off into the distance. And it's hard not to cringe a bit here, as this is the second time now that the show has inserted a pointless acrobatic move for her. The first being an earlier slide meant to impress Neil, I guess. And yeah, I don't know about you, but to me it was giving some serious Book of Boba Fett Vespa biker twirl energy. It's just awkward and unnecessary. Inside the Fallen Sanctum, the crew find coordinates to other sister planets, like at A2, at Arisia, and at Erevan. But the coordinates to At Achrann are somehow mysteriously scratched out. And it's here that SM-33 reveals that his former captain ordered him to destroy the coordinates and forget about At Achrann altogether. Fern, recalling a similar trick that she used on her own nanny droid, uses her authority as captain to then override SM-33's memory lock. And what follows afterwards is a chilling revelation, as it turns out that SM-33's captain killed their entire crew to protect At Achrann's location, and then programmed SM-33 to destroy anyone seeking the treasure. And this sends the droid into a berserk mode, chanting about pulling the crew apart limb by limb. But before the droid can hurt Fern, KB, and Wim, it's Neil who, in a moment of bravery emboldened by Hana's kiss, distracts SM-33 by throwing a rock at its head. But it's Jod who ultimately saves the day, jumping on the droid as he flips its off switch just in time. And that's where the episode ends. Overall, I'd say this felt like one of the weaker episodes thus far, as while it does some solid character development for Neil and a bit for Fern too, the plot itself is a bit slow, and much of the episode feels like setup for future episodes. And I mean, sure, Neo fans will likely very much enjoy the heavy focus on him here. But meh, I myself found Fern's emotional vulnerability showcased here, making her more of a well-rounded and relatable character. And lastly, the reveal about SM-33's former captain does add a compelling layer of mystery as who were they and why did they go to such extreme lengths to hide At Achrann? Now, I could see how some people will be quick to speculate that the former captain will somehow be the supervisor of At Achrann now. But to me, it seems unlikely given how SM-33's ship seemed really old. And even then, how could a lone pirate who killed all of his crew manage to take control of a whole planet all by themselves? I mean, if that's truly the case here and the writers are aiming for this so-called twist, then yeah, they better need some serious writing magic to pull and explain this off well. Anyway, while this was not the most action-packed episode, nor not the longest, it set the stage well for what's gonna come ahead. The crew's journey is becoming more complex and unpredictable, and with At Achrann feeling closer yet more elusive than ever, the mysteries surrounding their destination are growing ever deeper. And that will do it for my take on this episode of The Skeleton Crew. Let me know what you all thought about the episode down in the comments below. And if you haven't already, remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next one.